Hello everyone. It's been a historic budget, certainly the 8th consecutive budget of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, one which is being called as bold as well. The headlines at Nightingale. Prime Minister hails Union budget as force multiplier. Prime Minister Modi calls it a people's budget.
Finance Minister's bonanza for middle income groups, no tax up to income up to 12 lakh per annum.
Former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram says that this is a Delhi and Bihar oriented budget, not a budget for whole of India.
Parliamentary Affairs Minister, also the Minister for Minority Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, speaks exclusively to NDTV. He says he will push for the Waqf bill even if opposition resorts to ruckus.
If the opposition party tries to block, then government will be forced to push through it.
Loan scheme for new women entrepreneurs. New Dhan Dhanya scheme has been launched for farmers. Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented a record 8th consecutive union budget today, focusing on 4 sectors: agriculture, MSME, investment and exports to drive the goal of Viksit Bharat. The Finance Minister also addressed a press conference and said that there would be no reduction in public spending on capital expenditure. But Maria, the politics of this budget is very interesting because this is the biggest outreach by the centre to the middle class, a growing middle class and aspirational middle class of India, and also all the announcements that have been made for your home state, Bihar.
That's right, because it's clearly the coalition compulsion, as they say, at play here as well. A number of SOPs being announced for Bihar, which goes to polls later this year, and also a special outreach for the middle class. The government and the BJP certainly hoping that it will yield political dividends in the upcoming elections for Delhi. But the larger question is that this is a government which understands its hands are tied as far as maneuvering within the political space is concerned. Of course, this is a budget of Modi 3.0, but also a budget where there are 2 important allies in TDP and also the JDU.
Absolutely. Maria, I also think that the political messaging in this budget is very important because it shows that the BJP is willing to take corrective steps, in fact, reach out to the middle class. Many supporters of the BJP did not vote for the party, which also reduced the voter turnout and also the mandate of the BJP. But clearly, these are lessons learned. This is a party that learns very quickly. So this is a big political move, electorally very smart and strategic.
Yes, and let's listen in now to what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said when she presented the budget earlier today.
In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees, which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle-class taxpayers, I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees. So, average income of 1 lakh per month, other than the special rate income such as capital gains, under the new regime. This limit will be 12.75 lakh for salaried taxpayers due to the standard deduction of 75,000. Slabs and rates are being changed across the board to benefit all taxpayers. A new scheme will be launched for 5 lakh women, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, first-time entrepreneurs. This will provide term loans up to 2 crore rupees during the next 5 years. The scheme will incorporate lessons from the successful Stand Up India scheme. Online capacity building for entrepreneurship and managerial skills will also be organized. Measures for labor-intensive sectors. To promote employment and entrepreneurship opportunities in labor-intensive sectors, our government will undertake specific policy and facilitation measures. To enhance the productivity, quality, and competitiveness of India's footwear and leather sector, a focused product scheme will be implemented. Extension for incorporation of startups. We continue to support the Indian startup ecosystem. I propose to extend the period of incorporation by 5 years to allow the benefit available to startups which are incorporated before 1/4/2030.
140 करोड़ भारतीयों की आकांक्षाओं का बजट है। ये हर भारतीय के सपनों को पूरा करने वाला बजट है। हमने कई सेक्टर्स युवाओं के लिए खोल दिए हैं। सामान्य नागरिक विकसित भारत के मिशन को ड्राइव करने वाला है। ये बजट एक फोर्स मल्टीप्लायर है। ये बजट सेविंग्स को बढ़ाएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाएगा, कंजम्पशन को बढ़ाएगा और ग्रोथ को भी तेजी से बढ़ाएगा। मैं वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को इस जनता जनार्दन का बजट, पीपल्स का बजट, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, आमतौर पर बजट का फोकस इस बात पर रहता है कि सरकार का खजाना कैसे भरेगा, लेकिन ये बजट उससे बिल्कुल उल्टा है। लेकिन ये बजट देश के नागरिकों की जेब कैसे भरेगी, देश के नागरिकों की बचत कैसे बढ़ेगी और देश के नागरिक विकास के भागीदार कैसे बनेंगे, ये बजट इसकी एक बहुत मजबूत नींव रखता है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi there calling it a people's budget, but of course the opposition raising some issues regarding price rise and also if the budget actually has a roadmap to increase growth of the country. That, Maria, brings us to the questions that we seek to ask today. Does the BJP's open outreach to the middle class, in fact, defy political trends, making it critical for all political parties now to focus on this growing group?
And has relief for middle class become as important as welfare for the poor? And how will Budget 2025 change politics of social justice and federalism that is playing out in the country today? Earlier today, Vasudha and I spoke to former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. Listen in to what he had to say. In her 8th consecutive budget speech, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman exempted annual income of up to 12 lakh rupees from income tax. She has also rejigged the tax slabs and announced several schemes. But what does the opposition think of this budget? Joining us now is a senior Congress leader and former Finance Minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram. Mr. Chidambaram, thank you so much for your time. Sir, would you concede that this relief to the middle class is a bold move, because policymakers, opposition, have been demanding as to why the government is not passing on dividends from record GST collections to the middle class?
More than a bold move, it is a clever move. It is intended to attract the attention of the voters of Delhi and the voters of Bihar. I have no complaint about the relief given to 3.2 crore tax-paying income tax filers. Mark my words, only 3.2 crore income tax filers actually pay tax. What about the remaining 140 crore? If you had cut the GST, it would have benefited many, many more crore. If you had cut the prices of petrol and diesel, or reduced the taxes on petrol and diesel, that would have benefited millions of people. If you had increased the Maganrega wages, it would have benefited millions of families. Therefore, while I have no complaint about the relief given to 3.2 crore income tax filers who pay tax, what about the rest?
Right. Also, Mr. Chidambaram, why do you feel most of these schemes are beyond capacity of this government, and why that the bureaucracy will be happy with this? Because the government is also saying that they will be bringing in Jan Vishwas 2.0, which will reduce regulations and unnecessary compliances.
What regulations have been reduced? In fact, she has announced 15 more schemes and 4 more funds, which means adding to the bureaucratic discretionary load. Why announce 15 more schemes when many of your current schemes are underfunded or you are underutilizing the funds? I'll give you examples. In health, 1,255 crore was underspent. In education, 11,584 crore. In social welfare, 10,019 crore. In agriculture, 10,992 crore. In rural development, a whopping 75,133 crore. Urban development, 18,907 crore. You are not able to spend the money on the programs that you announced with great fanfare last year. Why add another 15 programs?
Okay. Sir, the government's own calculation is that this budget will aid consumption and hence boost demand and private capex. Would you agree or disagree? And what's your assessment?
I'll partially agree. About 20% I'll agree. But at the end of the day, the finance minister confessed that the growth this year will be 6.4%. So if growth in 25-26 will be no different from the growth in 24-25, what has this budget done? This budget should have boosted growth to 8%. Neither the Honorable Finance Minister nor the Chief Economic Advisor is willing to say, because of this budget in 25-26, our growth will rise to 8%. Have they said that? I have not heard it. Have they told you?
Mr. Chidambaram, also this is being seen as a pro-middle class budget. Politically, do you think it is a risk or do you think it presents an opportunity? And I also wanted to ask you about the projected numbers. Do they look realistic of deficit, of tax collections? What do you have to say?
Allocation and expenditure numbers are not giving me optimism. For example, in the current year, the revenue receipts are lower by 41,240 crore. The revised net tax receipts are lower by 26,439 crore. As I said a little while earlier, in key sectors, they have underspent the money. Therefore, I'm not sure about the capacity of this government to spend the money allocated. I'm very, very doubtful about the capacity of the government to spend the money allocated. And there are programs in Poshan, Jal Jeevan Mission, National Social Assistance Program, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Crop Insurance Scheme, Urea Subsidy, and PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Look at the numbers. In each of these numbers, there is a vast difference between the budget estimates made last year and the revised estimates announced this year. So how can I be confident that the government will spend the money allocated this year in this budget?
One of the criticisms that came from you was that the government's stranglehold on people's activities is getting tighter. Why do you say so?
So because in past programs, current programs, they have not been able to achieve their objectives. Then why announce I counted 15 new programs and schemes. I counted 4 new funds. If you count more carefully, there may be more. 15 new programs and schemes have been announced. 4 new funds have been announced. Where is the capacity of this government to deliver? I mean, if they have failed to deliver on past programs, what is the confidence that the new programs will be delivered? Therefore, I said that the bureaucracy will be very happy. They have got more discretionary schemes.
Right. Also, Mr. Chidambaram, there has been a little concern over private investment not picking up. Do you think the budget adequately addresses that concerns? Because the finance minister also announced this investment friendliness index today, and she wants states to be more competitive. Do you think that is one silver lining that you can agree upon?
The Honorable Finance Minister for the last 2 years has been pleading with the private investor, cajoling the private investor. In one meeting, she even warned the private investor. Now, if pleas, cajolery, and warnings have not had any effect so far, what will a budget have any effect? The environment is not conducive to private investment because if you read the economic survey, there are too many regulations, too many layers of regulation, as the chief economic advisors say. And the agencies are so empowered, they have actually been weaponized. Nobody wants to do anything which will bring them into contact with the government. Therefore, people are going abroad and investing. They are moving their businesses to Singapore. In fact, wealthy people are settling in other countries. You have to create an environment. And for that, you have to deregulate. Get out of the way is the most sensible advice given by a chief economic advisor in the last 10 years. Get out of the way. Don't regulate. Don't add more regulations. Have you seen recently the RBI regulations, the SEBI regulations, the Ministry of Company Affairs regulations and rules, the Competition Commission regulations, the IBC regulations? Every year they add another set of regulations. I can say that for Ministry of Coal, for Ministry of Steel, for Ministry of Mining. They just, every secretary, every joint secretary writes a page of regulations. Now the finance minister should sit down and take not a knife, a sledgehammer, and chop off all these regulations, which is what the chief economic advisor said. This is the most regulated economy. In 1991, we started an era of deregulation, liberalization. Now we have gone back halfway. We have added as many regulations as we have dismantled in the first years of liberalization.
And joining us now is TMC MP Saket Gokhale and also Milind Deora, Shiv Sena MP. He'll be joining me in just a bit. Mr. Gokhale, is the opposition shifting or changing the goalpost? Because for the longest time, you were of the opinion that all the GST collections that is happening, the government's coffers are filling up. But when it is about extending that relief to the middle class, that's not coming. Whatever said and done, it will be seen as a huge relief for the salaried middle class today.
Hi, good evening, Ms. Shakil. Good evening, Ms. Venugopal. Look, it's the wizardry again that they've done with this announcing of income tax exemption up to 12. It's not that the zero slab has been extended up to 12 lakhs. So even if a person, 12 lakh 75 is where it gets capped. If you make even 1,000 rupees above that, the 0% to 30% slabs will start applying to you. So I don't know how much of a relief this is. It makes for great rhetoric, but how many people, if you make 1 lakh per month, you're safe. If you make even 1 lakh 5,000 per month, the entire amount is going to be taxed. It's not that the tax begins 12 lakh onwards, number one. Number two, as far as the opposition is concerned, look, we have no problems with this, budget skewing towards benefiting Bihar. Fine. It's a state of India. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when West Bengal goes to elections, we still don't get anything in the budget. But that's okay. That's because the BJP can never hope to win West Bengal. But there are a few points in today's budget that raise some serious questions. Everybody in the industry, everyone across has been saying that this government has been increasing capex. You're increasing revenue through taxation. You're spending on capex. You've not been able to stimulate investment through the private sector. Even after giving a tax cut in 2019, corporates don't feel confident enough to invest right now. And that is because of the regulatory atmosphere. On one side, the finance minister talks about deregulation, but that onus has been put on the states. Sure, states will do their job, but what about GST terrorism that happens to the center? What about sending ED after companies? What about income tax raids on companies? That is something the finance minister is not compared about.
Milind Deora is also joining us. Let's introduce him on the screen as well. And Vasudha, you can go ahead.
Milind, there's one point that TMC has also pointed out, that unless there's a roadmap for addressing price rise, there's no relief for the middle class. How would you see this? Because there is, of course, significant relief with the moves that the finance minister has announced today, but clearly there also needs to be something that needs to be done for addressing the challenge of price rise.
Yeah, well, firstly, ladies, thank you for having me on. A pleasure to be with you. And, if I were to summarize this budget, I think firstly, it's not a usual budget and it's not a usual time for India. One is we have to be cognizant of the fact that there are massive technological, political disruptions that are underway from the United States of America all the way to China. It's important that India gets its industry, and when I say industry, I don't mean large corporates, but MSMEs, small and micro industries, startups, export ready and able to compete and globally competitive. And in my opinion, that is something which the finance minister and the government have taken cognizance of and have made a slew of announcements in this budget. Let me highlight a few of them. For instance, Mr. Gokhale was talking about the fact that there is over-regulation in certain areas. The biggest constraint for an Indian business to compete, and if you look at what America is doing today with the Department of Government Efficiency, I think their Department of Government Efficiency looks at many, many areas. It's in some ways a disinvestment ministry, in some ways it's a ministry which would reduce the bureaucracy, improve the judiciary, reduce compliance burdens. I think for India, the fact that a committee has been set up to examine which regulations are acting as hurdles rather than catalysts to aid businesses is a very, very welcome step. The fact that export credit has been increased significantly to MSMEs, the fact that technology transfer has been assisted to MSMEs to make them globally competitive, all of these are huge steps. The income tax bill will come to Parliament shortly, that the Finance Minister has assured the House of that. When the income tax bill comes in some ways it's a reflection of the Direct Tax Code of 2010. That will make things far more streamlined. It will reduce harassment. When you reduce harassment, it means you reduce litigation. You make people far more confident to do business. So I think that this budget today has captured the sentiment and the challenges that lie before India from a global perspective. Today, one technological announcement by China from a company called DeepSeek, saying that their artificial intelligence models are far more efficient than American models, far cheaper, consume far less power, has caused a huge political disruption all over the world.
Okay.
The artificial intelligence sector today, for instance, is the biggest consumer of power, of electricity. Every country, Vasudha and Maria, every single country, including countries that hated nuclear energy, from the United States to China, are today doubling down, tripling down on their nuclear energy generation capacity.
Right.
The finance minister spoke about nuclear energy in the last budget, but today she clearly laid out a framework and outlined a time frame by which we will break. We are ending the government's monopoly in nuclear energy, like we did in space, for instance.
Okay. Perhaps
And allowing private sector to come in.
To
So
come in on this.
I'm very confident that I think that this is a reformist budget. Have we achieved everything? Have all reforms been announced? Have all reforms been enacted? Probably not. There's still room for more reforms.
Right.
But I think that this budget, in my opinion, captured the sentiment of what young people want the government to do to allow us to compete.
Absolutely not. No, sorry, but look, with utmost respect to Mr. Devra, let me give you an example of how this budget is neither here nor there. On one side, yes, we know what the economic condition in the United States is. They're threatening to impose tariff barriers. Then the finance minister says, we're going to issue SOPs to manufacturers. The moment you start subsidizing your manufacturers, have you thought about politically the tariffs that are going to be put up by other countries because you're subsidizing your manufacturers? Fine, subsidize. But the manufacturing schemes, the way the talk about supporting manufacturing schemes, the finance minister clearly said will be done through multilateral banks. It is extremely unintelligent to say that we're going to fund such a big scheme through multilateral banks, which are denominated, where the debt is denominated in US dollars, when the dollar is getting stronger and the rupee is getting weaker. You're basically saying we're going to borrow more in US dollars when the rupee is falling and the dollar is rising, because that's exactly what the government needs to do, right? Increase the debt burden on the people. Again, on inflation, it's very easy to put the onus on the RBI, but food price inflation, which constitutes 12% right now, the biggest chunk of inflation today, that is completely under the control of the government. What are you doing to reduce food wastage? What are you doing for farmers? The bottom line here is that this is a bunch of nice terms thrown in here and there, but this budget is the same cycle repeated all over again. I still do not see any encouragement for the private sector to be increasing any of their investments in the market. And one last thing. It's amazing how just a few months ago, 7-8 months ago in July, the finance minister talked about employment incentives. This grand PM internship scheme was launched at that point. What is the status today? The PM internship scheme has not even managed to reach 10% of the target. So now they're saying, no, it was just a pilot program, and now you need to go back to the drawing board and re-examine the Prime Minister internship scheme. It's been a failure. So conveniently, the finance minister did not talk about it today. The thing is this, every budget, you introduce a harebrained idea, and then by the next budget, you expect that the people of India would have forgotten about it, and you introduce some new schemes, but there is no follow-up on previous schemes that have happened. Manrega, the allocation has not changed year on year. It was Manrega that got this country out of unemployment malaise during the COVID-19 pandemic, but the Manrega allocation has been kept same year on year. There are states like West Bengal whose Manrega dues have not even...
which are being raised by opposition and Saket Gokhale here is similar to what we heard from Congress leaders as well. The larger concern is that it's great to have these announcements, but when it is about follow-ups, it's about implementation, that's where the bigger challenge is.
Also, Milind, if you talk about
Firstly,
wage
I've
levels...
heard the job of the opposition is obviously to criticize. I've been
Milind, I think the wage levels which Saket also pointed out, even the economic survey says that the income or wages are back to 2017, 2018 levels. So clearly, while the public sector is, private sector needs to invest more, the fact that there also needs to be more emphasis on employment, right?
Firstly, if you look at the capital expenditure in the last few years, the entire investment cycle has been kick-started. When someone says that private sector is not investing, there was a time, maybe about a decade ago or 12 years ago, until about 8 years ago, where the credit offtake was very, very low. Today, credit offtake is at an all-time high. Today, banks, despite being flushed with cash, credit offtake is very, very high. So the investment cycle has been kick-started. Today, you're seeing a huge spend towards infrastructure. In my opinion, I'm not saying that schemes like Manrega are wrong. I voted for Manrega when it was first enacted. But in my opinion, when the government puts a lot of money into infrastructure, it creates a productive asset. It not just creates a productive asset, it kickstarts the investment cycle, it creates jobs. And mind you, for certain members of the opposition who are talking about reducing regulations, who may be talking about ease of doing business, you can't just depend on the central government to make doing business easier. State governments have a huge role to play. With due respect to my friend, let's not forget what happened to a company called Tata in West Bengal. So I talk to industry. I have a good sense of what industry.
Honestly,
I have a good sense. 1 second. I have a
honestly,
good sense.
if you want to know what happened to the Tatas are back.
Let me speak. Look, the government of India can do one thing. To be fair, the government of India can use its power with regards to, for instance, the income tax law, to reduce litigation, to make laws far more streamlined, to eliminate any kind of discrepancy or any kind of ambiguity, which essentially can lead to harassment, can lead to litigation. That is something which this government wants to do, and I think that's a welcome step. But to encourage ease of doing business, to make our MSMEs far more competitive, to make them globally competitive, you have to bring state governments on board. The center is trying to do that, but state governments also have to be business ready. State governments also have to move ahead, invest in infrastructure. Let me give you my example of my own state. My own state, for instance. Mumbai, a city I come from, a city I've represented for the longest time. Today, every single MP who comes to Mumbai for a parliamentary committee meeting, every single MP from every party, especially the opposition parties, say Mumbai has radically transformed in the last 5 or 7 years. There are huge infrastructure projects.
Sorry, I'm from Mumbai. And this is not true.
Saket Gokhale, with due respect,
it has been transformed. People are being gunned down on the street. People are being stabbed. People are being shot dead in the middle of Bandra. Yes.
These are projects which, by the way, for 30 years, I have been highlighting. My late father had been highlighting, but state government after state government delayed it. Today, they've been implemented. Today, we have 2 airports which will serve the Mumbai metropolitan region. We are planning for a 3rd airport. Today, a place like Gadchiroli, which was known as the Naxal hub of India, which was part of the Red Corridor, all the way from the northeast down to Maharashtra. Today, Gadchiroli has been transformed into the international steel hub.
All right.
Today, almost 30% of India's steel production, mind you, just for the information of my colleague, 30% of India's steel production will come from a former Naxal-affected district. Mind you, that had nothing to do with central government.
We have really come to the end of this discussion.
That had everything to do with the state government.
We'll have another discussion on these lines soon. So Saket Gokhale and Milind
I'm only saying this because on a previous debate, somebody else from the opposition spoke about ease of doing business. Yes, the government of India has the power to encourage ease of doing business.
Okay.
But state
you can't do that by sending the ED behind.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue this discussion soon again. But now there are a series of interviews lined up for the viewers. Vasudha earlier today spoke to the IT Minister, Ashwini Vaishnav. Listen in to what he had to say.
Hello everybody. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has presented her 8th consecutive budget today, and Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has called it a force multiplier, saying that this will not just boost domestic consumption but will also increase the savings of common Indians. To talk about the big takeaways of Budget 2025, we have with us the Railway Minister, also the Minister for IT and INB, Ashwini Vaishnav. Thank you, Mr. Vaishnav, for speaking to NDTV. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. Tell us, what are your big takeaways from this Budget 2025, because it gives a lot of relief to middle class, but how will it also boost manufacturing, which is one of your pet areas?
It's one of the finest budgets I've ever seen. This is a dream budget. If you look at it, the budget has given a very major fillip to demand by giving the relief to middle class families. Simultaneously, it has kept that pace of investment very steady. 11,20,000 crore rupees is the investment budget for this year. Imagine having this kind of investment, having investments in technology, in manufacturing, in for the farmers, everything, and still maintaining 4.4% fiscal deficit. It's a very nice budget. It's a very balanced budget. In my opinion, this is an amazing budget. I thank the Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Finance Minister for having this kind of comprehensive dream budget.
Right. Mr. Vaishnav, this was the first time I heard quality infrastructure. You know, there's also incentivizing of urban sector reforms that the FM spoke about. You're also somebody in charge of railways. How do you see this impacting your vision for railways, including digitizing and other aspects?
Multiple things. In railways, the capital allocation for this year is 2,52,000 crore. That's huge. That's humongous. And that's going to really keep the momentum of change which is happening in railways. Honorable Prime Minister has given us a very clear mandate that we have to improve the passenger amenities, get the better technology, focus on safety, and simultaneously increase capacity. So with this project, in this budget, we have close to 4,60,000 crore worth new projects which are included in the budget, which includes new lines, doubling, quadrupling, manufacturing new types of trains. So we'll be doing about 100 Amrit Bharat trains, 200 Vande Bharat trains, which includes combination of sleeper and chair car, 50 Namo Bharat trains, and 1,000 new flyovers and underpasses. The Super App has been rolled out for beta testing, and this will give a totally new way of interacting with railways. A lot of focus on using AI for cleanliness, for food quality, for allocation of the quotas. So many things are being done as part of this, and the train services are improving because of this huge focus on railways. And this year we'll also achieve 3 major milestones. First milestone is will become one of those major, only 2 railways which have more than 1.5 billion ton cargo carrying capacity. Will be crossing 1.6 billion tons cargo this year, and next financial year ending 31st March 2026 will cross 3 lakh crore revenue. So, and by again 31st March 2026 we'll also be completing 100% electrification.
Okay.
So these are 3 major milestones we'll be achieving while we continue to manufacture new trains, run new trains. You have seen in the recent past, in Mahakumbh as well as in the past Chhat, huge number of special trains were run.
Right.
That's because so much more capacity is being added.
Right. Also, sir, 500 crore outlay for AI. And, you know, there's this war between DeepSeek and also ChatGPT. In that whole context, you've also announced the AI mission. Tell us how adequately prepared we are to take on the AI challenge.
It was very important to get the compute facility so that the entire the researchers, the academicians, the startups, they all get opportunity to use those GPUs, which are really state-of-the-art GPUs. So that's why we focused, as part of the India AI mission, we focused on getting the compute facility, and I'm very happy to share that we have got, against a target of 10,000 GPUs, we have already empaneled 18,000 GPUs, and these are really high-end GPUs. Out of this, 10,000 are already available. So with this, we have started the work on foundational model. The allocations that we have is part of that India AI mission, along with creating new centers of excellence, because research is going to be a very important part of technology. We have seen the algorithmic efficiency which DeepSeek has brought in. So many more such innovations are going to come, and I can say that our talent is really good, and our people, our researchers will bring out such innovations in coming days.
Right. Sir, many also feel that a fiscal deficit of 4.8 and 4.4 might be still high. Also help us understand this larger macro economic goal of long-term structural reforms versus short-term recovery. Is that something that this budget aims to do?
Globally, if you look at the fiscal deficits of so many countries, if you compare the top 10 economies of the world by nominal GDP, most of the countries are running at 5.5. Some of them are running at 6% GDPs, 6% fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP. So 4.4 is very good in this entire, and there's a very clear glide path which Honorable Finance Minister has clearly shown in the previous budget. She had committed and achieved better than what she had committed. So this is really, I mean, this is a very healthy sign.
Right.
What's important is our central government's balance sheet is very strong. I think the total liabilities are in the range of, I mean, they are definitely less than 60% of the GDP, and GDP nominal growth growing at 10 to 11%. We will be crossing $4 trillion mark somewhere in December or the fourth quarter of the next fiscal. So, looking at that big macro picture, and simultaneously working on all the nuts and bolts which have to go in. So which is regulation, which is getting the infra in place, which is getting the skill in place, making sure that the state and the city governments are working in tandem. So all that is happening like a symphony, and I'm very happy that Honorable Finance Minister has announced the manufacturing mission today, because that is where a large number of employment can be created. We have seen electronics manufacturing, right? We already have 2.5 million people working in electronics manufacturing. Today we are manufacturing servers, laptops, mobile phones, medical electronics, audio devices, multiple things are getting manufactured.
Absolutely.
And with today's reforms in customs and in taxation structure, we'll get the component ecosystem also well established in our country. And I can see very clearly, because of these reforms, we'll be able to double the electronics manufacturing in the coming years.
Mr. Rijiju, as always, welcome to NDTV, and grateful that you have chosen to speak on the budget day to NDTV. Warm welcome from the side of all the viewers.
Thank you.
Your opening remarks, Mr. Rijiju, on the budget.
Well, it's difficult to begin with, but I can just say that it has rejuvenated the entire people of the country, because it is a fulfilling budget for the aspiration of the people, whether it's middle class or the business community or the farmers or people living in the border areas, northeast, coastal. It's everyone's budget. So people are wholeheartedly welcoming this budget.
So mostly the headline of the budget, Mr. Rijiju, so far has been that what many would describe as massive income tax relief, particularly to the bottom of the pyramid, from 7 lakh to 12 lakh has been announced by your government. How do you see that? Do you think that is good enough to rejuvenate demand, create more taxpayers in the sense that people would honestly file their taxes because the threshold has been increased? That's the world's experience. Or do you think that this will also not only help in further bringing taxpayers into the stream, but also in revenue collections? What do you think about that?
See, while the tax relief for the middle class is a massive, it's beyond anybody's imagination that such a jump in the tax relief can be given by government in a single stroke of one budget. This is, of course, one of the highlights. But if you go beyond, deeper into the budget, then you could see that this budget is the strongest ever foundation laid for Viksit Bharat by 2047. For example, the job creation, the employment is an issue for every developing country. So the job sector, if you see, almost 50% is the agriculture sector, the farm sector. So the kind of support being provided to the farm sector, the credit card, the kind of support for every sector within the farming community is, I think, telling itself that the focus is the rural and agriculture sector. Now from there, if you see the capital expenditure, now the jump has been unprecedented. However, this time the budget is so realistic that no matter whatever is the size of the budget, if you can spend, then you are going to get more. So spending of the budgetary allocation has been the focus of the Prime Minister. In fact, in the cabinet meeting also, the Prime Minister puts lots of stresses on the expenditure of the budgetary allocation. Otherwise, in the past we have seen that allocations are made, announcements are being made in every budget, but spending has been very poor. But Prime Minister Modi's track record is very clear that whatever you allocate, you spend it. And then you see the futuristic budget, where it is clearly outlined how we are transition into green technology, green economy, and the nuclear power capacity which has to be increased if we have to have a self-sufficiency in the requirement of the power generation. And then how this economy will be, totally focused on the export. So for export driving thing, whatever the provisions made in the budget, I think it is very encouraging. Now, while we are going to increase our export, the ease in doing business thing, which Finance Minister had repeatedly and quite eloquently remarked, that the Jan Biswas Bill 2 will be brought in, whereby all those redundant laws will be removed. All unnecessary legal provisions which are, leading to, putting unnecessary bottlenecks or obstacles on the people, especially in doing business, will all be removed. Decriminalization of many provisions which creates problems in doing the business. So these are all leading to the ease of doing business. So the whole effort to change the whole ecosystem are very appropriately explained in the budget. Now, beyond that, if you see different sectors, especially Eastern India. Now, East India has been lacking behind in terms of fueling the economic growth. So whether it's Odisha, Bihar, West Bengal, the whole northeastern region, the focus is very much there. And also the coastal region, for the fishing community, or for all those who are involved in traditional sectors like toy making, these are, I think, not only going to create lots of jobs, but these are going to fuel the growth of our economy. So while the whole world is facing difficulties in terms of economic growth, India is smoothly sailing. That is why India has been described as one of the bright spots in the world economy. So to sum up, the budget of 2025-26 is not only fulfilling the aspirations of the middle class, the poor farming community, but it is a way of opening up for the business community to make India a thriving and fast developing industrial economy. So that is, I think, the theme of the entire budget of this year.
Hello everyone and welcome to this very special conversation. Demand, democracy and demography. These are the three pillars on which Viksit Bharat foundations will be laid. That's what Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said as she went on to announce key relief for the middle class. With me is Union Minister Hardeep Puri to share his views on this budget. Mr. Puri, let me begin with the big question. Do you think this relief that the government has offered will address and boost the consumption that you're hoping for?
Most certainly, most certainly. If you raise the limit, exemption limit from 7 lakhs to 12 lakhs, it's not only helpful to individuals, but you have several taxpayers I'm not going to numbers, even in a household, they're all filing individual income tax returns. But more than that, this is a development budget which will lay a very solid step in the achievement of Viksit Bharat. Now, I want to start by congratulating the Honorable Finance Minister. She talked about democracy, development, demography, etc. Look, 1.4 billion people, if you look at their demands as belonging to different sections, this is a fantastic budget. It has something in it for everybody. You started talking about the middle class because in the last few months, madam, there has been an attempt to say that whilst the government is doing exceptionally well, to reach out to the farthest first, those who are most needy of, handouts like the 3 meals of dry ration in a day given to the during the pandemic, which is continuing. But the middle class, which are the bulk of the taxpayers, not getting something. I am very, very happy to see that that lie has been called. From 7 lakh, it has gone up to 12 lakh. And if you're a salaried person, effectively 12 lakh to 75,000 is your relief. But everywhere else, agriculture, startups, you look at energy, you look at nuclear energy, you look at the shipping sector, you look at the private sector R&D, top 50 tourist destination, Heal India. Rationalization of customs duty. I think this budget, look, I've been around for a long time. I've seen several other budgets before this, 8 budgets.
Finance Minister.
Yes. Nirmala Sitharaman, but I've seen budgets by earlier finance minister. Budget making by itself is a complicated exercise. And the context for budget making also assumes an importance. You've got political direction of inclusive growth, propelling the economy forward. There are those cynics who say that with a 6.5 or a 6.8% growth, you cannot become Viksit Bharat by a certain day. But this will actually boost the growth rate because you have a situation today where consumption increase, and this is where the middle class comes in, this is where the other sectors come in. Agriculture, there's enough in it for agriculture, pulses. And I'll tell you something, one of the things you have to be very careful about is that it's not that you've taken something away from someone and given to that. This increase in spending, which is going to come from the middle class, and the middle class is large, all right? Which also there was some criticism that, middle class is not fully on. They are on board. In fact, if you look at the BJP's, this thing is not meant for the party. I think one of the very nice statements that PM made in the statement, in the session that we had with him prior to the adjourning, there are things which are done for the overall country's interest, not for an individual group or a region.
Middle class is the buzzword, certainly, because keeping in mind the Delhi elections, but sir...
No, middle class is the buzzword for the whole year. Okay. Delhi elections will be over in two days' time or 4 days' time, but we are winning that in any case.
Okay, but does it cover the middle class, the entire arc of middle class, or will you say that this is largely focused on the lower middle class?
I would not be tempted to fall into a categorization of whether this is. I'll tell you why it's overall. The Finance Commission, the Pay Commission has been established. The Pay Commission, and I've been a civil servant for 39 years, every time there's a Pay Commission established, the hike which comes even at the basic category is massive, massive. I look back to my own time. I started with my first salary in a teaching job at 400 rupees a month. My first salary in the IA, Foreign Service, was also 400 rupees basic a month. अभी कहाँ तक बेसिक पड़ रही है और जब पे कमीशन की recommendations आएंगे, it's a massive increase which goes in. Government servants are actually very well paid, by relative standards. This one applies across. It's not just for lower middle class. Let me explain why. The amount of relief you get as a result of, if your income is 12 lakhs, you have no income tax payable. Earlier, if you had little over 7 lakhs, a certain tax rate kicked in. Now, if you see in the slabs also revised, if you earn 20 lakhs, you've got so much saving. If you earn 24 lakhs, so much saving. All those computations are available, and I think as the budget sinks in, because there are stuff in this for the health sector, the number of drugs which are being added to the list of no basic custom duty, cancer-saving drugs, so many things. So I think it's a very well thought through, very clearly result-oriented budget.
So you're of the opinion that the demand side problem of the economy will be addressed?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the criticism, we only look at the supply side. Nahi bhai, we look at all of it. Budgets are not made in isolation. Budgets are part of an evolving development narrative. And that development narrative is itself conditioned by the Viksit Bharat Sankalp. And I think in the last few years, somebody told me just now, how did you manage to do this? What about the capex? No, capex has also gone up. I think what happened is there was 30% increase in capex repeatedly in the last few years. We had a target of 11 lakh crores from what I remember. Expenditure has been, I think, 10 lakh crores plus. We set aside another 11.21 lakh crores. It's just a few minutes ago, so I'm still soaking in the numbers. But these are very impressive figures.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture, and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth?
Good evening and welcome to NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. It's been a day of big comments. The budget 2025, 8th of Nirmala Sitharaman has been presented. Reactions coming in thick and fast. The opposition is punching holes while the government is hailing it as the people's budget. We have all sides covered here on NDTV. Let's start with the headlines. Prime Minister hails Union Finance Minister. Budget 2025 says it's a force multiplier, calls it people's budget. Finance Minister's bonanza for middle class groups, no tax up to income of 12 lakh rupees. Former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram speaks on the budget, says Delhi Bihar-oriented budget. It's an election speech, says P. Chidambaram. Loan scheme for new women entrepreneurs, new Dhan Dhanya scheme launched for the farmers as well. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju speaks exclusively to NDTV on the Waqf board, says Waqf bill necessary, will push the bill if the opposition resorts to ruckus.
Opposition party tries to block, then government will be forced to push through it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start with our top story this evening. Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, presented her 8th budget for the Modi government. And the first, in fact, as the Modi government 3.0, Nirmala Sitharaman today, in fact, spoke at length about the changes in the tax regime, giving relief to the middle class. No income up to 12 lakh rupees and new income slabs have also been announced. Now, 100% FDI has been allowed in the insurance sector. Meanwhile, the focus of the budget, according to government, has been on the poor, women, youth and the farmers. Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Yojana for farmer loan scheme for women entrepreneurs has also been launched, and 75,000 more medical college seats in the next 5 years is the agenda of the government. Welfare schemes for the gig workers and new income bill will be presented next week.
In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees, which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle-class taxpayers. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees. So average income of 1 lakh per month other than the special rate income such as capital gains under the new regime. This limit will be 12.75 lakh for salaried taxpayers due to the standard deduction of 75,000. Slabs and rates are being changed across the board to benefit all taxpayers. A new scheme will be launched for 5 lakh women, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, first-time entrepreneurs. This will provide term loans up to 2 crore rupees during the next 5 years. The scheme will incorporate lessons from the successful Stand Up India scheme. Online capacity building for entrepreneurship and managerial skills will also be organized. Measures for labor-intensive sectors. To promote employment and entrepreneurship opportunities in labor-intensive sectors, our government will undertake specific policy and facilitation measures. To enhance the productivity, quality, and competitiveness of India's footwear and leather sector, a focused product scheme will be implemented.
ये बजट सेविंग्स को बढ़ाएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाएगा, कंजम्पशन को बढ़ाएगा और ग्रोथ को भी तेजी से बढ़ाएगा। मैं वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को इस जनता जनार्दन का बजट, पीपल्स का बजट, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
Meanwhile, NDTV exclusively spoke to several union ministers. In fact, Jitendra Singh, the union minister, said that the income tax slabs announced in the new income bill, which will come in the next, in fact, week, this is going to be a game changer for the citizens.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her 8th consecutive budget, and it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who stated that this is people's budget. To talk more on this, I am being joined by Minister of State for Prime Minister's Office, Dr. Jitendra Singh. Sir, thank you so much for speaking to us. You also control the Ministry of Science, and a lot of youth are very much enthusiastic about what's happening in the space sector as well. The ISRO has been planning for multiple missions in the upcoming years. How do you find with the budget allocation as far as the space sector is concerned?
Space sector also there is a budget hike. In fact, there has been a continuous budget hike funds as far as the funds per se is concerned ever since this government came in. Even in the space sector, for example, in 2013-2014, the space fund of the UPA government was just about 13,879 crore. Today it is 37,483 crore, which means a hike of 170%. So even the space sector, there is a hike of 170%. And you will be fascinated when I tell you the other component of the Department of Science, of the Ministry of Science and Technology, which happens to be CSIR, Council of Scientific Research. In the last 10 years, there has been a rise of nearly 1,000%. And you will not believe, and so I'll tell you the figures. In CSIR in 2013-14, it was 2,013 crore. Today it is 230.75 crore. Sorry, it is from 2,013 crore, it has gone up to 6,658 crore, which makes a hike of 250 crore, 230%. So, so government has been very forthcoming because Prime Minister Modi has been taking a percentage. Then, if you see in the last 100 days, the Mission Mausam was announced with a 200 crore allocation. So, if you put this totality, because the first part of the budget has happened with the vote of, and this part of there's a huge science-driven, technology-driven, with a lot of path-breaking decisions, including this nuclear mission.
Dr. Singh, I can't end this conversation without asking about AI, because Prime Minister has spoken a lot about AI, India becoming a global hub in the upcoming years as well. What's there in this budget for the artificial intelligence?
Yeah, of course, the announcement of setting up a center of excellence for artificial is something which very few countries across the world has still planned. And then also combining it with 50,000 additional Atal Tinkering Labs. This is a sequel to the announcement of the government of the cabinet decision taken to to extend the Atal mission, Atal Tinkering mission. So all this is in a way not only going to add up the boost or foster the startup movement, it's also going to create new avenues of livelihood and also generate revenue in the process.
Lastly, your response to those leaders, the opposition leaders particularly, who have stated that this budget is just to make happy, the government wants to make happy the alliance partners, specifically the JDU in Bihar, TDP in Andhra Pradesh.
But tell me, in a lighter way, if someone owes allegiance to Congress party or Aam Aadmi party, will he not get the same tax relief which has been announced by the finance minister? I could have believed that if the budget said, look here, these reliefs are only meant for the voters of BJP or the voters of NDTV. Has the budget ever mentioned that? Nowhere. Am I right? The budget is equally providing the similar benefits even to those who are not voting for NDA or who don't claim to be NDA supporters. So either they should have the moral courage and say, look here, this budget is meant to please NDA and therefore we are not going to take the benefit of that. They would not say that. So I think we don't need to take them seriously.
Dr. Singh, thank you so much for speaking to us on the very important day. It was a union budget that was announced today by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, and that was MOS for Prime Minister's Office, Dr. Jitendra Singh, speaking to NDTV.
Meanwhile, with the new tax regime, the MSME, 100% FDI in the insurance sector, my colleague Shrestha Tiwari spoke to Executive Director of IMF and former Chief Economic Advisor Krishnamurthy Subramaniam, who has worked very closely with Nirmala Sitharaman earlier on his takeaway from the union budget.
Thank you, Mr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam from IMF, joining us on NDTV. My first question to you, what is your take on people's budget that has been announced? It's a common man's budget. So what do you think? Is it really a people's budget?
I think the push to consumption that the income tax rate cut, personal income tax rate cut will provide, I think will be substantial. As I've tweeted already, I estimate that the impact of this personal income tax rate cut will be about an additional 4.5 to 4.8% of consumption and about 2.7% of GDP. So because you have to keep in mind consumption accounts for about 60% of our GDP. So this will give a substantial impetus, and I think anticipating this spur to consumption, we can now expect the private sector to also actually start investing. For long they've been saying that consumption is not increasing as much, and that's why they're not investing. I think this should provide the spur. I'll hope that the central bank also joins in this partnership and goes ahead with easing of monetary policy so that private investment can actually be spurred up.
That's right. How do you look at the tax reforms and the new tax bill that's coming up next week in the parliament? Is it really a push to the new tax regime? Do you think that the common man is being pushed to the new tax regime switch?
So I think we'll have to wait for the details. The Honorable Finance Minister, announced in her budget speech that the new tax code will have about half of the sections of the previous tax code and half the number of pages. Having been part of the committee that drafted the tax code, in 2019, and which was submitted to the Honorable Finance Minister, which had made similar strides. I will hope that many of the good things that were in that draft tax code actually will be implemented in the new code, because this can really make a difference to ease of doing business, because a large part of the interaction that companies have with government is on the tax side, both GST and income tax. And I think simplifying the tax code, which is from 1961, it's actually a 80-year-old relic now. It's something that is very important. So I'll be watching for the details there to see what comes about.
Right. So what is your take from the IMF's perspective? The credit boost for MSMEs has been announced. So what do you think and what is your take from the IMF perspective?
I think the MSME is actually, you would recall that, we had flagged it in the, in the 2018-19 economic survey, and actually I've covered this in my recent book, India at 100 as well, that we have the problem of MSMEs, aging and not growing, the phenomenon of dwarfism. And I think the change in the regulatory, that those thresholds for, what is an MSME, I think will help certainly in, fostering growth. Also, some of the measures that have been taken, to enable more financing to MSMEs, I think will also be something that will help their growth, because MSMEs that grow are the ones that actually, become more competitive and also provide jobs. And so I think from that perspective, this is something that is actually very welcome.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
With just 2 days left for the campaigning, senior leaders across various political parties, including Union Minister home, Amit Shah and leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi were seen holding rallies crisscrossing the national capital. At a rally, Union Minister termed the Aam Aadmi Party government as 3G Sarkar, and he said, government running in Delhi is a 3G Sarkar, घोटाले वाली सरकार, घुसपैठियों को पनाह देने वाली सरकार and घपला करने वाली सरकार. Meanwhile, Arvind Kejriwal, the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, hit back at the BJP and also alleged that Aam Aadmi Party MLA Mohinder Goyal was assaulted during the campaign in Rohini area by BJP hooligans. Both Priyanka and Rahul Gandhi held several rallies and road shows in the national capital as well.
गाड़ी भी ले ली, सिक्योरिटी भी ले ली, चलो भैया ले ली, 51 करोड़ रुपए का शीश महल बनाया, 51 करोड़ रुपए.
मैं आपको मोदी जी की गारंटी कहने आया हूं, एक भी गरीब कल्याण योजना भाजपा सरकार बंद नहीं करेगी, उल्टा हम चालू करेंगे.
बीजेपी वाले कह रहे हैं कि इनकी सरकार आएगी तो ये 5 सुविधाएं बंद कर देंगे जो आज आप लोगों को मिल रही है. फ्री बिजली बंद कर देगी बीजेपी, फ्री पानी बंद कर देगी, सरकारी स्कूल बंद कर देगी, मोहल्ला क्लिनिक बंद कर देगी और महिलाओं का फ्री बस का सफर बंद कर देगी.
विचारधारा की लड़ाई चल रही है कांग्रेस बीजेपी के बीच में केजरीवाल जी आए, खंबे पे चढ़ गए, वो वैगनार गाड़ी को लेकर सीधा शीश महल में घुस गया, अंदर दरवाजा बंद कर दिया पीछे से. करोड़ों रुपए का घर, सारी की सारी एमिनिटीज, ऑटोमेटिक दरवाजे.
All right, so that was the battle for Delhi. But speaking exclusively to NDTV's Nikunj Garg, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju says the Waqf bill is necessary and the government will be forced to push for the Waqf bill if opposition resorts to unparliamentary tactics.
If the opposition party tries to block any legislation by creating ruckus or doing some kind of unparliamentary tactics in the house, then government will be forced to push through it. When we want to have a discussion, if the opposition thinks that by blocking physically, by creating ruckus in the house, they can block the bill, it is not going to happen.
All right, with that, we're slipping into a very short break. News and updates on the other side. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Finance Minister's bonanza for the middle class. Finance Minister says no tax up to 12 lakh rupee income.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the 4th time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360
growth, upliftment and self-reliance. Values which are at the heart of Usha's Silai School program. These values have guided the training and empowerment of more than 1 million women across India. To create hope and resilience at this scale, how does one aggregate and amplify the intent, purpose and commitment around us into something larger, something that is bigger than each of us individually? Usha's collaboration with a multitude of corporates with a similar purpose and ethos have turned the impossible into a sustainable possible. With the power, trust, and reach of these corporates, the partnerships provide the pooling of resources, connections, and skills, all of which have contributed to the empowerment of the Usha Silai School women. In this episode, we explore some of the partnerships that are built on shared values that create opportunities for the women of rural India to become self-reliant. About an hour away from Lucknow is the village of Mal, where Usha has set up a training cum production center in partnership with Tata Power. As a part of promoting collective entrepreneurship, Usha and Tata joined hands in the year 2021, leading to the establishment of 8 training and production centers. This initiative has empowered over 300 women directly in Bihar, Himachal Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh by providing them with valuable skills and opportunities. The fog and the cold do not stop these women from getting to work on their sewing machines. Undeterred by the conditions around them, These women are focused on their current task to complete their design as their training is just about to reach its culmination.
So one woman getting empowered and going back to their villages and bringing more women back to empowerment was the overall objective, and it was a micro enterprise model which we were trying to set up. So this association started with that. Until now, I would say very successfully we have completed more than 500 women we have empowered directly, and you can say 1500 plus would be the indirect empowerment which we have created into remote villages, which is a big achievement for us.
Usha Salai schools such as this harness the power of collaboration between corporate partners with resources and grassroots NGOs like the Sarvodaya Ashram, whose community outreach helps identify the women to participate in such programs. Usha believes in impact and meticulously selects NGOs with proven track records and transparent operations, ensuring their contribution truly empowers the women in need.
उषा इंटरनेशनल के साथ में हम लोग जो हैं लगभग 10 साल से जुड़े हैं, बस 10 के 12 साल कहिए उससे जुड़े हैं, और हमारे जितने भी कार्यक्रम हैं वो संयुक्त रूप से होते हैं। हम लोग सर्वोदय आश्रम जो है वो डेवलपमेंट के बहुत सारे काम चलाता है, संचालित करता है, और हम लोग ग्रासरूट लेवल पे काम करते हैं, और उषा जो है वो हम लोगों को टेक्निकल मदद करता है।
कंगन चिकनकारी तो आप जानते हैं मेट वर्क का ये मेट वर्क
This has been the guiding vision in the partnership between Usha International Limited, Tata Power and Sarvodaya Ashram.
तो इस प्रकार हमने अपने गले में
This is the third such batch of women trained in the basic skills of stitching and sewing with a focus on chikankari and most importantly the workings of a sewing machine.
तो एक तरीके से जो ये कि मिथ है कि महिलाओं को मशीन फोबिया होता है, हमारी इन बहनों को नहीं होता। ये बहनें अच्छे से जो है मशीन के बारे में जान जाती हैं, और जो है वो उसको हैंडल करना अच्छे से जान जाती हैं।
आती थी, इसलिए हमको सीधी चौकोर और गोल सिलाई सिखाई गई, उससे हमारी सिलाई अच्छी आने लगी है। और
Creating a program as this which aims to nurture skills also creates a self-sustaining culture of learning, which carries on for years and even generations, long after the students have completed their training.
पापा के पास मेरे मशीन थी, क्योंकि मेरे पापा बहुत पहले सिलाई किया करते थे। उसको जब हम ले आए तो वहाँ से हमने काम स्टार्ट कर दिया अपना। तो कोई अच्छा काम नहीं कर पाते थे, इसलिए कस्टमर थोड़ा कम आते थे, क्योंकि वो फिनिशिंग नहीं आती थी कपड़ों में। और जब से हमने यहाँ पे सिलाई सेंटर से ट्रेनिंग ले ली है तो अच्छा कपड़ा हमसे बनने लगा है। तो हम इससे बहुत उत्साहित हुए हैं कि हमने ट्रेनिंग के बाद हमारा इतना फ़र्क आ गया है।
हमारी बहनों को जो मदद मिलती है, हमारे मतलब हमें ऐसा लगता है ना, उन्हीं परिस्थितियों जिस तरह से हम बहनों से मिलते हैं उन्हीं परिस्थितियों से गुजरे हुए हैं, तो हमें अच्छा लगता है।
While for some, the drive to learn is rooted in aspirations.
मैंने इस चीज़ के लिए मैम से बात की, मैम आप यहाँ तक कैसे आई हैं? मुझे भी आपकी तरह बाहर जाके ये सब करना, सीखना, सिखाना है, मतलब मुझे आगे बढ़ना है। कोई चीज़ छोटी नहीं होती है, सिलाई हो या गवर्नमेंट जॉब हो या टीचिंग हो, कुछ भी हो, कुछ छोटा नहीं होता है। अपना हुनर आना चाहिए हर चीज़ में।
3 तरीके से आप लोगों का असेसमेंट होगा।
It's not just corporates. Usha partners with organizations across industries, banks, cooperatives, government entities, academic institutions, NGOs, each for a different kind of support. Programs like this impart to the women not only the skills of sewing and stitching, but also essential skills to navigate everyday lives, the means to earn a livelihood, and perhaps the most precious value of gaining confidence in themselves.
उषा के जो कार्यक्रम चलाया जा रहा है यहाँ पर नीचे, और उसमें बैंक उन लोग का हर तरह से मदद करने के लिए तैयार है। जैसे उन लोगों ग्रुप जो बनेगा SHG ग्रुप के थ्रू, जो ग्रुप सहायता समूह जो बोला जाता है, उसके थ्रू उनको बैंक जो लोन प्रोवाइड करेगी और उनको सुविधा देगी, जिससे आगे वो लोग बढ़ सके आगे में। तो इन ग्रुप के सहायता से बताया जा रहा है कि उनको किस तरह से सिलाई जो सीख रही हैं उनके अपने विकास के लिए, अपने परिवार के लिए कैसे उनको बढ़ाया जाए।
After 14 tireless days of hard work, the women of the Usha Silai School in Mal have now reached the end of their training session, and it is time to celebrate this achievement. Beyond sewing skills, the women have been empowered with information and knowledge on health and social issues, how to fight diseases, and even awareness on preventing child marriages. They have forged bonds and committed themselves to stay in touch with each other after they go back to their villages and support each other in the social and familial challenges they face.
मेरा सपना तो यही है, अगर मैं अपना बिजनेस सब लोग मिलकर कर सकती हूँ तो करूँगी, ज़रूर करूँगी। सब बहनें मिलकर करेंगे और सबको मतलब हम लोग सपोर्ट भी करेंगे और सब लोग सहयोग के साथ अपना बिजनेस जैसे सब लोग मिलकर खोलेंगे तो सबकी मतलब कमाई होगी उसमें।
See, collaboration is a very important key to success for any initiative, for any development. When we are looking for an overall single goal for the country, then it is very important experts should come together, they bring their expertise and they collaborate with each other and bring the best for the communities, for our country, because the ultimate goal is to see the impact on the communities, the empowerment should be visible.
When intent and commitment join forces with the right kind of support, it creates a launching pad for rural women to become self-reliant. These social partnerships open up a universe of possibilities, showing the scale of what can be achieved when centers of influence join forces.
Corporate partnerships are built on shared values. When corporates collaborate or start working together, their combined strength amplifies the scale of their effort and also deepens the impact on the society. We've been fortunate to be working with some very esteemed organizations like Tata Power, NIPCO, SIDBI, Fiat, NTPC, among many others. These partnerships enable us to develop newer models for upskilling women as well as for introducing newer entrepreneurial opportunities for the women.
These are the collaborations that uplift, empower, and engage with India, with women whose skills and spirit await only that first step for them to begin their journeys. In Northeast India, Usha and one of its leading corporate partners, Star Cement, has launched a first-of-its-kind project, training men in the mechanics and maintenance of sewing machines, so they can provide technical support to women graduating from Usha Silai schools, their learners and other women from the villages. Through this project, Usha is aligning its goal with the mandate of its corporate partners in their CSR ventures.
Usha is working very closely with Star Cement since last few years, and we have started a model called Training the Trainer model. From last year, we have covered near about 800 students, and we have covered in Assam more than 20 villages. And after completing the course from Star Cement gives best student few machines free of cost. So there are some criteria according to that they are giving Usha machine free of cost to all the students so that they can start their earning from their home itself.
Located just an hour and a half's drive from Assam's Guwahati lies the Usha Silai School at Chamta Patthar. Run in partnership with Star Cement, the school is fostering self-dependence among the women of the region.
More than 300 students in every batch. After doing the training also successfully they complete their courses and get certificates, and we also help them as whoever is qualifying, we are helping them with the machines, and with the machines they are doing their own incomes.
Usha Silai School and Star Cement are providing the women an opportunity to establish a skill-based income-generating platform by training 7 mechanics for 10 days in sewing machine mechanical skills. In this project, Usha International will provide 10 days of rigorous training focusing only on the technical and mechanical aspects of assembling, functioning, troubleshooting, repair and maintenance of sewing machines. For the women who have successfully passed out from the Usha Salai school and have started their own sewing schools, to those who are undergoing courses, the need for a good mechanic in the area has been paramount. During the training, the participants are trained on several kinds of Usha sewing machines, from the very basic versions to the more advanced sewing machines. The training involves different modules, all of which ensure a wide range of knowledge and troubleshooting capabilities.
इसी स्कूल से अच्छे से जो पास हुए सब लोगों को एक एक मशीन दिया है। सो मैं मैकेनिकल एक कोर्स किया हुआ है इधर में। सब जगह में मैं घर घर में मशीन है तो उधर में पार्ट्स ख़राब हो जाता है, कुछ हो जाता है, तो हम लोग जो जो सीखा है उधर घर में घर कर जाके तो सब ठीक करेंगे, प्लस खुद का एक दुकान भी खोलेंगे।
In 2017, the Star Usha Tailoring School, in collaboration with Usha International Limited, was established with a noble vision to empower rural women by enhancing their traditional skill sets. And now, this partnership between Usha and Star Cement has gone beyond skilling rural women from just sewing to complete repair of sewing machines. Usha empowers its women entrepreneurs with technical skills on sewing machine like upkeep, troubleshooting and repair. Looking at the rising use of skills, including sewing on white machines in the region, incorporating technical skills for both black and white machines for this intervention was a necessity.
There is always a lack of mechanic in the entire area. So we thought of this concept and we have discussed with Usha International Limited, and we found that there is a possibility of organizing this training and for this mechanic upcoming youths as budding entrepreneurs.
After the break, Godavari Power and Ispat and Usha are strengthening the future of women in a small village near Raipur.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland. The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam.
In the heart of India, a powerful movement is taking shape, a movement fueled by skill, driven by ambition, and powered by partnership. This is the story of how Usha, a trusted name in Indian households, is joining hands with leading corporates like Godavari Power and Ispat Limited to empower women and transform communities. Godavari Power and Ispat Limited, or GPIL, a leading steel manufacturer, understands the importance of sustainable development. Recognizing the need to uplift the local community, they sought a partner to empower women through skill development.
ये काफ़ी ग्रामीण क्षेत्र है और साथ ही साथ औद्योगिक क्षेत्र है। ये क्षेत्र जो है कई चीज़ों में काफ़ी पिछड़ा हुआ है। एक जागरूक कंपनी होने के हैसियत से हमारा ये सोच था कि हम अपनी महिलाओं को, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र की महिलाओं को कैसे सशक्त बनाएं। उस सोच को आगे ले जाते हुए ये हमारे CSR पे आइडिया आया डिपार्टमेंट में कि क्यों ना एक प्रोजेक्ट जो है महिलाओं के लिए करें।
In 2023, GPIL partnered with Usha International Limited, a name synonymous with innovation in the sewing and stitching industry, to create a life-changing initiative in Raipur. Together, they established a training-cum-production center designed to equip women with sewing and stitching skills.
हमारे ऐसी जितनी लाइक माइंडेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं और अदर एंटिटीज़ हैं, तो हम ऊषा उनके साथ में पार्टनरशिप में काम करने के लिए हमेशा अग्रणी रहता है। तो इसी कारण से हम गोदावरी पावर और इस्पात लिमिटेड के साथ में यहाँ रायपुर में हमने अपना ऊषा एंड GPIL ट्रेनिंग कम प्रोडक्शन सेंटर का इस्टेब्लिशमेंट किया है।
ये सेंटर आप लोगों का है और जब आपको लगे कि मेरे पास आज टाइम है, मैं यहाँ टाइम देना चाहती हूँ।
And with the shared goal, the partnership between Usha Silai School and Godavari Power and Ispat Limited was born, a collaboration between the strength of steel and the resilience of women. Expert trainers, equipped with state-of-the-art sewing machines, guide the women through the intricacies of tailoring. The air is filled with the rhythm of the machines, the chatter of eager learners, and the scent of fabric.
मैं आती हूँ सबसे पहले तो मतलब फर्स्ट बेच रहता है तो सब अपना अपना काम करते हैं। उसके बाद सेकंड वाले आते हैं तो मेरे को मतलब अच्छा ही लगता है कि मेरे बैच आ रहे हैं ऐसे करके। फिर वो लोग आते हैं, फिर अपना अपना जो रहता है उसको करते हैं। और जब जैसे मैं सोचे रहती हूँ कि मेरे को आज ये बताना है ऐसे करके, तो उसको मैं अपना स्टार्ट करती हूँ।
This training center has become a hub of creativity and empowerment. The women, once confined to their homes, now envision a brighter future. Some have started their own work, others of contributing to their family incomes.
मैं घर में सिलती थी तो थोड़ा अपने मेज़रमेंट से सिलती थी क्योंकि मैं गांव में सीखी थी ना, और यहाँ आने के बाद मेज़रमेंट अलग हुआ तो मैं दुनियावी जैसा होता है रेडीमेड कपड़ा होता है तो मैं उस तरीके से सीखी हूँ। जैसे कहीं भी ऑर्डर वगैरह आता है तो मैं इसको सिल के पूरा करके दे सकती हूँ।
Here, 20 women from surrounding villages are receiving comprehensive training in sewing and stitching. For 25 days, they are learning not just technical skills, but also gaining confidence and financial independence that will shape their futures. Many of these women, once trained, have started earning incomes by offering their services to the local community, making garments and even launching their own small businesses. This ripple effect is proof of the power of skill building and the profound difference it can make in the lives of entire families.
यहाँ पे मैडम जो आती है मधु वर्मा मैडम, उसने मुझे बताया कि जो केयर स्किल फाउंडेशन है वहाँ ट्रेनर की ज़रूरत है। तो मैडम बोली कि आपका रिज्यूम है तो उसको सेंड कर देना। ऐसा तो मैडम रिज्यूम को सेंड की, फिर वहाँ इंटरव्यू के लिए रायपुर गई थी। इंटरव्यू में फिर पास हुई, फिर ना 16 तारीख से ज्वाइन किया मैं अभी वहाँ पे 40 कैंडिडेट हैं उसको सिखा रही हूँ। जैसे पहले मैं घर में सिलाई करती थी तो मुश्किल से 3 से 4 हज़ार इनकम करती थी, और वहाँ जाने के बाद मुझे उससे डबल हो गया है, जैसे 12,000 इनकम मिल रहा है 2 से 3 घंटे काम करके। लेकिन जैसे हेल्प अपने पापा के लिए, जैसे कि मांगते हैं 2,000 दो, 3,000 दो, कुछ काम है ऐसा कि तो उसको हेल्प करते हैं उसके लिए।
For GPIL, this partnership isn't just about corporate social responsibility. It's about building a future where women are equipped to thrive in a rapidly changing world.
तो मेन स्कोप तो हमें यही लगा कि जो ये सीखी हुई है, जो इनके पास हुनर है, उसको तराशा ऐसा जाए कि वो अपना खुद का कोई रोज़गार करें या घर से ही ऑर्डर उठाएं, मार्केट से ऑर्डर उठाएं। उषा के माध्यम से और जो हमारी सहयोगी NGO है वेस्ट टू बेस्ट वेलफेयर सोसाइटी, इन दोनों के सहयोग से हम जो उद्देश्य लेके चले हैं महिलाओं के लिए, उसकी पूर्ति हम कर पाएंगे।
In a world where opportunities are often scarce, partnerships like these light the path toward a brighter, more inclusive future. With Godavari Power and Ispat Limited, Usha International and the women of Raipur, the journey of empowerment has just begun. And with every step, we move closer to a society where every woman can achieve her dreams. Your brand can also partner with Usha Salai Schools for a high-impact, efficient CSR initiative. Usha's well-established model ensures your contribution translates directly into tangible skills and economic independence for women, with measurable results and transparent reporting. For more details, log on to ndtv.com/kushalta and adopt a Salai school.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the 4th time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip and the spiritual sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest.
Hello and welcome to NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. Let's quickly take a look at the headlines we're tracking at 11. Prime Minister Modi hails Union Budget as force multiplier. Prime Minister calls it People's Budget. Finance Minister's bonanza for the middle class. No tax up to income group of 12 lakh rupees. Chidambaram on the budget. Delhi and Bihar oriented budget. It's a political move. Loan scheme for new women entrepreneurs. New Dhandanya scheme launched for the farmers. ₹10,000 crore fund of funds announcement for startups in 2025 budget. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju exclusively speaks to NDTV, says Waqf bill necessary, will push for the bill if opposition resorts to ruckus.
The opposition party tries to block, then government will be forced to push through it.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her 8th budget today. In fact, the Finance Minister in her budget gave big relief to the middle class with no income tax up to 12 lakh income. New income tax slabs have also been announced. Tax relief for the middle class and senior citizens. 100% FDI has been allowed in the insurance sector. The other focus of the budget was on poor women and youth along with the farmers. Prime Minister Dhandanya Yojana has been launched for the farmers and loan scheme for new women entrepreneurs.
In recognition of their contribution, we have periodically reduced their tax burden. Right after 2014, the nil tax slab was raised to 2.5 lakhs of rupees, which was further raised to 5 lakh rupees in 2019 and to 7 lakh rupees in 2023. This is reflective of our government's trust on the middle class taxpayers. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees. So, average income of 1 lakh per month other than the special rate income such as capital gains under the new regime. This limit will be 12.75 lakh for salaried taxpayers due to the standard deduction of 75,000. Slabs and rates are being changed across the board to benefit all taxpayers.
140 करोड़ भारतीयों की आकांक्षाओं का बजट है। ये हर भारतीय के सपनों को पूरा करने वाला बजट है। हमने कई सेक्टर्स युवाओं के लिए खोल दिए हैं। सामान्य नागरिक विकसित भारत के मिशन को ड्राइव करने वाला है। ये बजट एक फोर्स मल्टीप्लायर है। ये बजट सेविंग्स को बढ़ाएगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट को बढ़ाएगा, कंजम्पशन को बढ़ाएगा और ग्रोथ को भी तेजी से बढ़ाएगा। मैं वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी और उनकी पूरी टीम को इस जनता जनार्दन का बजट, पीपल्स का बजट, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। साथियों, आमतौर पर बजट का फोकस इस बात पर रहता है कि सरकार का खजाना कैसे भरेगा, लेकिन ये बजट उससे बिल्कुल उल्टा है। लेकिन ये बजट देश के नागरिकों की जेब कैसे भरेगी, देश के नागरिकों की बचत कैसे बढ़ेगी और देश के नागरिक विकास के भागीदार कैसे बनेंगे, ये बजट इसकी एक बहुत मजबूत नींव रखता है।
Mr. Goyal, really appreciate your time here on NDTV. We have seen easing up of tax regulations for the middle class, but what about trade and commerce, sir?
Maria, don't you think easing up of tax is a very light word? I think you've seen a revolution in the tax system. Everybody who earns up to 12 lakhs or salary payers up to 12 lakhs 75,000 having to pay no tax is like almost removing the tax on the middle class. And I must compliment Prime Minister Modi and Nirmala ji for this very bold decision. It'll add significantly to consumption demand, give a big boost to growth, and will certainly have a huge impact on the middle class as well as on trade and commerce.
There's no doubt that domestic consumption will increase with more money in the hands of people, but how will the relief to the middle class also lead to growth, recovery, and aid in manufacturing as well?
Well, very logical. As demand increases and people have more money to spend, the disposable incomes, the money in the pocket increases, and they spend on goods and services, the demand increases. When the demand for these goods increase, it leads to a demand to grow the manufacturing capacities in those goods. Let me give you a simple example of air conditioners. We used to be largely dependent on imports of air conditioners until a few years ago. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi brought out the production-linked incentive for air conditioners, they started getting assembled in India and the components started getting indigenized. From a level of barely 20%, we are already at about 60-65% indigenization within the air conditioners sold in India. A number of compressor factories are coming up. The indigenization will go up to 85% in the next 24 months. And gradually, we are becoming self-reliant, Atmanirbhar in air conditioners. Now, when we did all this planning, our expectation of air conditioner market growing was at about 7, 8, 10%. The reality is it's multiplying by leaps and bounds. The growth in air conditioner demand is just beyond our imagination. So all the plans that we had, all the plans industry had to create a manufacturing ecosystem around air conditioners are now falling short of the demand. With this step to give middle class more income, this demand will further increase. So I think demand increase, consumption demand leads to demand in the market, more manufacturing. That will lead to jobs. Jobs will lead to further incomes. The virtuous cycle of growth can be seen in this budget.
Joining us now is a senior Congress leader and former finance minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram. Mr. Chidambaram, thank you so much for your time. Sir, would you concede that this relief to the middle class is a bold move? Because policymakers, opposition, have been demanding as to why the government is not passing on dividends from record GST collections to the middle class.
More than a bold move, it is a clever move. It is intended to attract the attention of the voters of Delhi and the voters of Bihar. I have no complaint about the relief given to 3.2 crore tax-paying income tax filers. Mark my words, only 3.2 crore income tax filers actually pay tax. What about the remaining 140 crore? If you had cut the GST, it would have benefited many, many more crore. If you had cut the prices of petrol and diesel or reduced the taxes on petrol and diesel, that would have benefited millions of people. If you had increased the Maganrega wages, it would have benefited millions of families. Therefore, while I have no complaint about the relief given to 3.2 crore income tax filers who pay tax, what about the rest?
Right. Also, Mr. Chidambaram, why do you feel most of these schemes are beyond capacity of this government, and why that the bureaucracy will be happy with this? Because the government is also saying that they will be bringing in Jan Vishwas 2.0, which will reduce regulations and unnecessary compliances.
What regulations have been reduced? In fact, she has announced 15 more schemes and 4 more funds, which means adding to the bureaucratic discretionary load. Why announce 15 more schemes when many of your current schemes are underfunded or you are underutilizing the funds? I'll give you examples. In health, 1,255 crore was underspent. In education, 11,584 crore. In social welfare, 10,019 crore. In agriculture, 10,992 crore. In rural development, a whopping 75,133 crore. Urban development, 18,907 crore. You are not able to spend the money on the programs that you announced with great fanfare last year. Why add another 15 programs?
संसद में बजट की चर्चा हुई, ठीक है, इन्होंने कहा मिडिल क्लास के लिए जो टैक्स का स्लैब है इसको 12 लाख तक कर दिया। इस देश में कितने लोग टैक्स भरने लायक हैं? कितने लोग इतना कमा भी रहे हैं कि वो टैक्स भरेंगे? मैं बताती हूँ, 7 करोड़ लोग, लेकिन 135 करोड़ जनता टैक्स नहीं भर पा रही है। हर चीज पे जीएसटी का टैक्स है, खास तौर से जिनकी छोटी छोटी दुकानें हैं, जो अपना छोटा बिजनेस चलाते हैं, वो समझ रहे हैं मैं बात क्या कर रही हूँ.
Let's shifting focus now to the Mahakumbh, where 118 diplomats from 77 nations visited Mahakumbh. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also attended the ceremonies, in fact, and took a holy dip at the Sangam. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister went to the Prayagraj and also met the stampede survivors. He went to the hospital and took stock of the situation.
I took a dip and it was very special. I also took some water, holy water with me back home, so I'll give it to my relatives. What I've seen, it's very well organized and also safe, so I have no complaints about it.
I'm very, very happy, and I am especially blessed today. I have my birthday today, and this is my birthday. And
today's your birthday?
Yes, and
happy birthday for first
thank
of
you very much, and this is truly blessing to be here on that day. So I'm very grateful. Namaste.
I lived in India now for 4 years, so I already know the culture and the feeling. But the feeling here and in these places, especially today, as I say, especially today, feels like a blessing, feels like energy coming from outside into the inside of the body and vice versa then. So that's what I felt in all these places.
Speaking exclusively to NDTV's Nikunj Garg, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju says that the Waqf bill is necessary and the government will be forced to push the bill if the opposition resorts to unparliamentary tactics.
If the opposition party tries to block any legislation by creating ruckus or doing some kind of unparliamentary tactics in the House, then government will be forced to push through it. When we want to have a discussion, if the opposition thinks that by blocking physically, by creating ruckus in the House, they can block the bill, it is not going to happen.
Legendary former India batsman and captain of the cricket team, Sachin Tendulkar, has been conferred with the BCCI's Lifetime Achievement Award. The award was presented to the legend at the BCCI's gala in Mumbai. Sachin Tendulkar is the 31st recipient of BCCI's Lifetime Achievement Award, which was established in 1994 to honour India's first captain, Colonel C.K. Naidu. Sachin Tendulkar has represented India in 664 international matches and has a host of records under his belt. With that, we're slipping into a short break. News and updates here on NDTV will continue. Stay tuned.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Prime Minister hails Union Budget as force multiplier. Prime Minister calls it People's Budget. Finance Minister's bonanza for middle income groups, no tax up to income of 12 lakh. Loan scheme for new women entrepreneurs, new Dhan Dhanya scheme launched for farmers. 10,000 crore funds announced for startups in budget 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the number numbers change on the D-Day of Eid.
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
Kind attention, please.
The future of Delhi isn't decided in speeches. It is decided at the ballot box.
BJP putting all its might to dethrone Aam Aadmi Party-led government in Delhi.
Delhi's decision destination.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party's success saga continue for the fourth time?
Will Congress put up a tough fight and turn the tide this Delhi Assembly elections?
How will the numbers change on the D-Day of Eid?
Delhi Election Metro 2025. Stay tuned to NDTV for Mega Metro poll coverage.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival.
The Kumbh Mela 3,000-year-old spiritual gathering will be attracting over 40 million devotees, making it the world's largest human convergence. As part of Dettol Banega Swasth India campaign special Kumbh series, we will be showcasing the impactful work done on the ground. We will be saluting the real heroes. While Dettol's Banega Swasth India initiative has invested significantly in creating awareness for sanitation and hygiene, but we start with spotlighting the real heroes, the sanitation workers, who are making a Swasth and Swachh Kumbh possible. An invisible army that works tirelessly behind the scenes at the Kumbh Mela. Their mission, keeping millions of pilgrims safe and healthy.
In this sea of humanity, sanitation is paramount. A staggering 145,000 toilets dot the Kumbh landscape, each requiring meticulous care. But this isn't just about cleanliness. It's a crucial defense against disease outbreaks.
हमारा नाम है रेखा, हम बांदा जिला से आए हैं। 25 तारीख से आए हैं हम। टॉयलेट साफ करते हैं हम। ये जनता के लिए अच्छे की भलाई की सफाई कर रहे हैं हम।
पन्ना जिला से आए मध्य प्रदेश से और साफ सफाई करने आए यहाँ 6 बजे से सफाई कर रहे हैं। सफाई इसलिए हो रही है कि सब गंगा नहाने आए हैं, सब साफ सुथरा रहा है, संगम माह में हैं, इसलिए सफाई हम लोग कर रहे हैं।
The scale of this operation is mind-boggling. Tons of waste must be managed meticulously every day. For the 15,000 sanitation warriors, this Herculean task means more than just waste collection. It's about ensuring proper disposal and maintaining public health standards, often in challenging conditions.
I'm very proud of all the arrangements like what the government of Uttar Pradesh has done along with the government of India. I'm very, very grateful to my own leadership at RECED, Gaurav Jain, Chris Litt and others who have been a source of always inspiration so that we don't lose on the opportunities to put hygiene as a basic foundation for good health. I'm very proud. जो sanitation workers वहाँ पे दिन रात काम कर रहे हैं, उनकी जो leadership वहाँ पे काम कर रही है, उनका अद्भुत काम है वहाँ पे।
सबसे पहले वॉशरूम यूज़ किए तो इतना नीट एंड क्लीन थे ना, अगर हम जब कहीं भी हरिद्वार ही चले जाते हैं, कहीं भी इतनी मुझे स्वच्छता कहीं पर भी दिखाई को नहीं मिली। यहाँ पर जैसे भी मैं आई तो मैंने जैसे यहाँ आकर देखा जैसे जगह जगह पर कचरा होता है, वो चीज़ यहाँ पर नहीं थी। डस्टबिन प्रॉपर हर उस पर रखे हुए हैं और जो स्वच्छता कर्मी हैं वो इतनी संख्या में है यहाँ पर और उनका काम जो है वो एक बहुत ही सराहनीय है।
वैसे तो मेला अधिकारी से लेकर हमारा मेला मैला ना हो जाए, उसके लिए जो स्वच्छता सैनिटेशन वर्कर काम कर रहे हैं ना, सच में उनको प्रणाम करना चाहिए। हम तो संगम में स्नान करते हैं पर वो स्वच्छता का स्नान कराते हैं। दे आर आवर हीरोज। बनेगा स्वच्छ इंडिया तो रहेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया।
Beyond Kumbh's spiritual grandeur lies a story of dedication. These sanitation workers are not shared that are holding this massive gathering together. Dawn after dawn, they have this challenging task to ensure that the pilgrims have a good experience. It's not just about the cleanliness of the place, but it's also so that the pilgrims have no issue when it comes to their health as well as hygiene. With camera person Manoj Thakur and Sahil Taneja, this is Ambika Singh Kama for NDTV 24/7.